marquee player of Hyderabad Blackhawks, Mr. Guru Prashant. And we have our Sanjay, Sports Director, Hyderabad Blackhawks. We have Ritvik Jampana, founder of Varsity Sports India. We have Rishil Kankanala, head of Varsity Volleyball League, and Adya Kosaraju, director of Girls Varsity Volleyball League here. So over to Abhishek Reddy Kankanala. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for all taking time today to come down here. I think without much ado, we'll start off. If you would like, I would go through what we are trying to do here, but it's already in the press note. But just to give you a brief, what we're trying to do here is we've done this before through the previous seasons, which is season 1, season 2, season 3. We are now in season 4 of Prime Volleyball League, and last year we worked with Adadama Andhra in Andhra to make sure that volleyball is spread into a lot of constituents down there in Andhra. We also had a VD Open tournament where we had more than 350 teams that have participated across Telangana, teams from multiple districts, and we had culminated that tournament in Gachibowli Stadium. And this year we are doing a tournament with the varsity teams. We believe this has come a full circle because obviously, we have gone with the adults, with people who play casually to students now that that have taken up the sport, and we believe that these are the future for for the league, for what we are trying to build, and we now associated with the varsity sports. Ritvik here is the founder for Varsity Sports. We worked with them in the past for their season 1, which is basketball. They had a basketball tournament as part of the Varsity Sports, and then they've moved on to soccer. And this year we're doing volleyball. And we believe this is not just a tournament; it's a league sort of a setup, because it's going to be done over a 5-week period. There's going to be a big opening day, which is on the August 16th. And we are doing this in the Sarur Nagar Stadium. And as part of that opening tournament, we're expecting about 2,000 spectators and about 500 participants. We have participants from almost 60 teams, representing about 40 schools. Both boys and girls teams would be part of that. We are hoping that there's going to be a great event, because obviously the schools, we're quite excited to be partnering up with kids and create an atmosphere of volleyball within the city.
With us, it's an honor, and to have Guru here as well for the press conference. I mean, what an event, what a start to the league. So, just a little brief on what we've been doing at Varsity as well, and how we got to this point. So we started out Varsity with the goal to give every athlete in India a platform, but we started in Hyderabad with the mission that, we're going to host these leagues not over 2 days, 3 days, but over months. Okay, over 3 to 4 months, have teams play home and away, give every athlete in Hyderabad, regardless of the sport, a platform, playing on the biggest stages. So we did that by starting with basketball in 2023, with about 14 schools, and then we've done a big football league. And, as we've gone over the last 2 years, we realized how much sporting culture is in these schools, how much fan culture is there, and how talented these players are. So now we have thousands of fans at these games, at big games, and lots of parents involved. Now parents are, really loving their kids to play these sports because they see, opportunity for them. So we want to take, this platform, these opportunities that we believe can be created in sports in India, a population of 1.5 billion, 500 million students, right? We believe that India could be the center of sporting excellence 10 to 15 years down the road if we start now. We truly believe the golden age of sports India starts now, and we're so happy to be going on to this next steps, doing the Blackhawks Varsity Volleyball League. Now, starting August 16th, is going to be a huge launch event, and I mean, by this press conference, you can imagine, the scale we're doing it at. So we're super excited. We're looking for volleyball to become, a household thing. Every house, every student in the city wants to be playing volleyball, so that's the goal, and we're having a great start. So yeah, that's just a little bit about us, and I think I can pass it on to Guru, and he's the star, so would love to hear his thoughts on what he thinks about everything.
The school players doesn't have much tournament to play in our country, so it's a good start and a good platform for the players to play and prove themselves, and it's a key thing to develop the sporting culture in India. This should have been done way before, but we are glad this is happening now and with the support of these young minds. So I'm so glad that my young junior players are getting this opportunity, and this should spread to other cities of India as well. We are starting this in Hyderabad, and I hope this will come to Bangalore, Chennai, and Mumbai, which are the sporting hubs of India. So this will create a country, a sporting nation, which is we are already in the path of that thing. We are becoming a sporting nation. The sports are improving, and the government is supporting the sports. So this is a golden time, a golden opportunity for all the athletes, players, and the upcoming um, students to take up sports and make it a big thing in your career, and they can make sports their career. Before we couldn't make a big thing in sports, we can't make it our career. But initiative like this and leagues like this will encourage players to make sports their career. Yeah.
Like as Abhishek mentioned, like this is not a first time partnership with Varsity. We have seen the growth, we have seen the potential, and we were always overjoyed with how the amount of energy and enthusiasm that these students bring on and spreading the joy of sports. And that's something very unconditional, and that's very unique about sports. And coming to the this specific tournament as well. So this is definitely a precedent for what is something bigger that is actually going to happen. The Prime Volleyball League, definitely we are one of the leading teams in the league, Hyderabad Blackhawks, and one of the core mottos or the fundamentals of the team is definitely developing the grassroots and promoting volleyball as a major sport in the coming generation. And even if you look into our viewership, which has been crossing 200 million season after season, actually making us the third biggest sports league in India. And almost 40 percentage of that are people who are under 21. So definitely there is a growing interest in the youth. And especially this partnership is showing the true potential of volleyball and more importantly, celebrating volleyball, making it into a festival in Hyderabad. I mean, Hyderabad has always accepted cricket, celebrated cricket, accepted kabaddi, celebrated kabaddi. Same with football. Now it's time for volleyball, and this is start of a movement that we really want to showcase. And with respect to the format of the tournament, we are taking inspiration from the Prime Volleyball League, the point system. We are getting certified referees coming down and making sure that we have the best standard of game. And overall, we want to give a great experience to all the participating students and not just coming and playing for any other sports league. We want to respect the time that the students are giving us, the 1 day or the 5 weeks or the 4 weeks, but we genuinely want to make sure that they have very positive experience coming out of the league so that they are more excited for the next season of the HBH Varsity League going forward. And I think that is also equally supported by all the sponsors that I'm sure you're seeing all the brands who had trust with us and who have decided to come on board to support the season one of the league. And especially we understand the landscape of sports, and cricket is something which has been dominated. Now our objective is we want to make sure that volleyball is there and the top priority, volleyball is celebrated. And that is our major motive of this exercise.
To give a platform and a structured manner for these high school athletes to play. For years, being an athlete myself, I've seen the system where it was just 1 day, 2 day tournaments, and it was no structured manner, and it was hard for us to even showcase our potential on a big stage. But right now, with varsity, we're trying to do just the opposite, trying to get a grassroots program. And like Guru said, it should have been in place years ago, but now that it is, we're trying to build this grassroots initiative to allow these athletes. We've got about 60 schools now, 612 players participating in the league, and this is a huge opportunity for each and every one of them to showcase their potential, to grow as players, and hopefully one day in the future to become volleyball athletes themselves.
Yeah. Okay. Anna, I played for the university level when I was in college. Okay, but when I was in school, I didn't have much matches. We rarely play matches which last about 1 or 2 days. That's what he said. Like there is not a league kind of thing. The most amount of matches will be played in a tournament will be 4 or 5. That too between the state, and we rarely go and play outside. Maybe 1 or 2 tournaments in the whole year. So it doesn't help. We don't get a lot of exposure like what Varsity provides. We'll having a long number of players, long number of times, and we're getting so much matches. And the main thing is we are getting exposure. We'll be playing in a school where nobody watches, nobody knows us. So we are giving players a platform. The audience will come and watch the players. So they will get a stardom or something. So it will inspire other people to take the sports. It's not about the money, but at least the efforts and their talent is getting recognized by some amount of people. Watching these kids play, another 10 or 20 kids may take up the sports, seeing how they celebrating the sport, how good they are playing the volleyball. These things was not there in the school level, but luckily we are getting these things in the prime volleyball stage. But if these kids get this in the grassroots level, this will be a huge change for the total sporting thing of India. So that's how these things will help the Indian sporting community.
I feel is a big deal for the kids these days is that the opportunity to play under the lights, to play in front of the crowd, and to get the sort of media attention that they would get right now with all of you here, because it matters quite a bit. Case in point is when we went to a school called Santa Maria here, about 4 years back. I had Guru with me. We went to that school just because they had a ground. We wanted to showcase volleyball to them. We picked a random school. We went there. We played a round of volleyball for maybe an hour or hour and a half. The impact it left with them is a result of Santa Maria becoming the school champion 2 years later. 2 years before that, nobody was playing volleyball. The ground was getting defunct, and people would once in a while play volleyball. But the moment these guys showed up, they played in that arena. Things changed for them because they saw what real volleyball was. They saw what professionalism could make a difference, and that's the kind of difference we want to make this time to the varsity sport, because we feel that with them, obviously the league is starting on October 2nd, which means that we will have all our players, the entire team with us September 1st to September 30th, where it will be coinciding with the varsity league. We would have our players play along with the students and kids and all of that. Hopefully we'll be inspiring them. Hopefully we'll be able to pick up some of them as raw talent, nurture them, and hopefully train them. We're unfortunately in a situation where Hyderabad Blackhawks, even though it's called Hyderabad, there's not a single player from Telangana, unfortunately. That was one of the things that we had gone into our auction, trying to find a single player so that we can incorporate into our ecosystem. Obviously, there might be some people that we are not still in touch with, but we would love to make this team very Hyderabadi, very Telugu. Love to ensure that we get people from here, from the grassroots, encourage them, give them a platform, give them something that they can rely on, so that we can build a team.
Hi, Abhishek. ఇప్పుడు ఈ వార్సిటీ లీగ్లో ఓన్లీ ప్రైవేట్ స్కూల్స్ వరకేనా ఎనీ గవర్నమెంట్ ఆర్ గవర్నమెంట్ ఎయిడెడ్ స్కూల్స్ కూడా ఛాన్స్ ఇస్తున్నారా?
Yeah, I think the varsity is not about private schools. I can definitely answer for this from my perspective. They can definitely answer from theirs. Varsity is nothing to do with government schools or private schools. Varsity is a school program, right? So when we put out the link, we had actually requested some of the government schools to also be part of it. We would love to see a scenario where the government schools beat some of the well-funded, good infrastructure private schools. I mean, that's something that I always keep talking about, that's a dream scenario where kids of raw talent would, in spite of not having certain facilities, or even now these days government schools do have good facilities. Actually, they're one of some of the few schools who actually have grounds, proper grounds and all of that. So that was a consideration we had when we started off, when we put out the link. Unfortunately, we had to cut off at a certain point because we know we could not handle more teams than that. So we did not. I would say next time we would make slots only for government schools, where we give them enough time to join, maybe give them enough notice, give them talk to them about the infrastructure we could provide in terms of getting them, creating a bus for them and all of that. This time, unfortunately, we didn't have the time to do all of that. We put the link out. We had notified quite a few government schools, but between all of them, I don't know how many have applied actually. I'll have Ritvik answer that.
I mean, our vision is give every athlete a platform. So no matter if they're from a government school, a private school, we want every single athlete to have the opportunity to play and to, do that as well, to create no differences. One of the key aspects of our league, of this league, is that every team plays for free. No student pays a single rupee to play in this league, no matter how much infrastructure we provide, no matter having this press conference here right now. No player who's ever played in a varsity league has paid a single rupee to play in it. Thus, we kind of try to keep it as open as possible. We want any athlete who wants to play to be able to play, and that's a core mission of ours. And we want a ton of government schools to be able to play this season. We'd love to have them. We did receive a bit of response, but as Abhishek said, there are some transport issues, etc., that we wish we could solve, but due to time constraint, it's become a bit difficult. But we love any school to play, any athlete, any student who just wants to play can play varsity. So that's our whole mission, and with that, we're really looking forward to this season.
ఇన్ఫ్రాస్ట్రక్చర్ అండ్ స్కూల్ నుంచి ఫండింగ్ ఇవన్నీ ఉంటాయి, వాళ్ళకి టీమ్స్ ఉంటాయి, ట్రాన్స్పోర్టేషన్ ఇష్యూస్ ఇవేమి ఉండవు. బట్ కమింగ్ టు గవర్నమెంట్ స్కూల్స్, వాళ్ళు అంటే లీగ్లో మీరు ఎంట్రీ ఫీజు తీసుకోకుండా ఆడించినా వాళ్ళు లీగ్లో వచ్చి ఆడడానికి కూడా లాట్ ఆఫ్ హడిల్స్ ఈజ్ దేర్. సో ఏమన్నా అంటే ఆ విధంగా కూడా మనం ఫండింగ్ చేయడానికి ఏమన్నా అంటే ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఉన్న టీమ్స్ని తీసుకోవడానికి వాళ్ళకి లాజిస్టిక్స్ కానీ ఏమైనా ఇన్ఫ్రాస్ట్రక్చర్ ఇవ్వడం కానీ.
This is definitely not a one-time activity, ante what we are doing is something that we are going to continue doing. Obviously the team is going to be here forever, hopefully, representing Hyderabad, representing volleyball. So from that perspective, we are going to be doing a lot more activities in the future. We have to take special attention and care and be cognizant about the requirements that will come in. As Ritvik just mentioned, that we probably were not conscious about needing transportation and all of that. Link pettesnamo, we said it's free, we encourage government schools to participate, but I think when time comes on the ground, we probably did not realize that not many would have come forward because of lack of transportation. Next time we will do our best to ensure that transportation is provided. We will also request more sponsorships. Obviously would make a lot of difference. What we're doing is out of pocket for us, but I mean, we're so happy that quite a lot of sponsors have responded this year. We've got Prime Volleyball League, which has responded very well to this, and we've got some of our sponsors like Bicycle and Kaizen has providing the balls and all of that. So all of these sponsors make a lot of difference in elevating the game, and I'm hoping that if the government of Telangana also adds to that, we would have an opportunity to provide buses. We will probably even partner up with a school. What we can do is we can have schools like Srinidhi take up a government school as a sister school or whatever, and ensure that some of their buses can pick up the government school and take care of their needs. I can have Rushil speak about that, because Rushil has been talking with his school and trying to sort of some of these things.
Yeah, like Abhishek just mentioned, there is we do want government schools on board. Obviously, the funding is a little less, but that doesn't mean that we're going to discriminate. From next time onwards, what we're going to try is probably, like said, we're going to have the tie-ups. We're going to figure out a way of transportation. There's always going to be a solution. The entire point is trying to build this grassroots initiative, and once that hits, I feel like there's no stopping it.
అలానే కాదండి, అంటే లాస్ట్ సీజన్ వెన్ వీ హ్యాడ్ ద టోర్నమెంట్, వీడియో ఓపెన్ అని చేసినాము. మేబీ ఐ థింక్ యూర్ రిఫరింగ్ టు దాట్. ఆల్మోస్ట్ 350 టీమ్స్ వచ్చినాయి. వీ వర్ ఏబుల్ టు గెట్ దెమ్ ఆల్, రికగ్నైజ్ దెమ్. ద విన్నింగ్ టీమ్స్ని గచ్చిబౌలి స్టేడియం తీసుకొచ్చినాం. వీ గేవ్ అ ప్రైజ్ మనీ అండ్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ దట్, ఆల్ అవుట్ ఆఫ్ ద వీ డెంట్ హ్యావ్ ఎనీ స్పాన్సర్స్ ఆ టైంలో. సో ద ఆన్సరింగ్ బ్యాక్ టు దట్ క్వశ్చన్, అక్కడి నుంచి వచ్చిన టాలెంట్ని ఎందుకు ఎంకరేజ్ చేయలేకపోయినరు వర్సెస్ ఇప్పుడు స్టూడెంట్ సైడ్ ఎందుకు వెళ్తున్నారు అని కదా. ఈజ్ దట్ ద క్వశ్చన్? యా, అంటే వీ హ్యాడ్ అప్పుడు కూడా వీ హ్యాడ్ కోచెస్ దట్ వర్ లుకింగ్ ఎట్ ద టాలెంట్. ఆ స్టేజ్కి వచ్చేసరికి ఏమవుతుంది అంటే, ఐ థింక్ గురు కుడ్ ప్రాబ్లీ ఈవెన్ టాక్ అబౌట్ దిస్ బెటర్ దెన్ మీ. వన్స్ యూ గెట్ టు అ 21-year-old stage, it's already a little too late for training, especially when you have to get into a professional volleyball team, right? And coaches also, they really don't look for somebody who's already established in their pattern. What they're looking now is, obviously with the referees, we'll also have our own coach here, student దాంట్లో నుంచి మీరు అన్నట్టు, it's a big deal for us to get into the student stage, because they're all 11th graders and 12th graders, mostly 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. That's the exact age where I think the chops for volleyball starts happening. It's one of the very good sport that way, that even though you do not have exposure when you're a kid, if you pick up tennis, for example, you need to start when you're a 5-year-old. You cannot start at 14-year-old expect to be a world champion, right? Same is with mostly basketball and a few other games as well. Volleyball is one of those games that you can actually start slightly later into your career, right? Obviously height matters and all of that, but you also start slightly later into your career. And most of our Indian athletes have actually started much beyond when they were 15 or 16. That's what Guru was mentioning, right? So we want to take that a little earlier into that process. If we can identify 3 or 4 kids out of this entire thing, we would love to make them part of our training camp. That was the entire desire, that we are timing it that way, that our training camp is going to be here, the coaches are going to be here, we can pull some of those kids, and we can provide long-term, thought process to that once we have the kids.
You had a basketball league earlier you were talking about, right? So apart from the positives, what were the negatives that you learned from there, which will help you implement this league? Because everybody talks about positives all the time.
Right. From a varsity perspective,
Yes.
is what. Can I defer this question to Ritvik, and then I'll
anybody
answer that.
anybody can answer it.
Yeah, 100%. So we did this is season 2 of basketball, which happened about 6 to 8 months ago in December. It happened from actually August till December, about a 5-month league. So it was pretty successful. I think, the players got a great platform. There were stars that were born, but when it comes to some of the negatives, I feel like sometimes game to game, during some of the league games, the platform wasn't as, or like the surroundings weren't as big as like the championship game, for example. So, every player didn't have a championship game feel for every other league game. So that's something we're really working on for this league, especially having the Hyderabad Blackhawks on board. We're branding every single game. Every single game has that, environment which feels like they're playing in a prime volleyball game, for example. So now every single game, so one of our players wakes up in the morning and he knows he's going to be playing on a big stage every single day he wakes up, right? So that is one really big thing that we feel we're adopting for this league that we haven't been able to do for the past leagues. And also that's a big credit to having the Blackhawks, on board, and all of the resources they have are, tremendous sponsors this season, especially, having Prime on board, Bicycle, the Prime Volleyball League as well. So we're all coming together to make, this season, reminiscent to like an IPL season, for example, where, every single game is an event on its own. So that's the one main thing that we are improving this year.
So to finish off on what he was mentioning, to give a clarity, what happened with the basketball league was that we had a certain budget for the league, which did not allow us to book a stadium, did not allow us to bring on the lights, did not allow us obviously to do a press conference. It did create a hype within the students. I was there at one of the basketball games where I had kids who had come in from the US. They were saying that they haven't seen a vibe like that, because we do have some videos that I'd love to share where there were about 500 kids in the stadium, and they were all chilling out with these guys, and they were all relating to what's happening. There is no seat fills, there is no leagues trying to push people to get free tickets or whatever. It was completely full. But the unfortunate part is obviously it was in a smaller stadium because of the budget. Now what we realized, one of the things that we realized from there and made a difference now is that we said we'll do the exact same thing that we were doing before, but we'll do with a 5x budget. The 5x budget would allow us to go get a stadium. Now that we've got a stadium, thanks to the sponsors, it makes a lot of difference for us to put on the lights that we're talking about and create that hype that he was talking about, where they wake up in the morning understanding that if they are talented enough, there is an opportunity for us to pick him up from where we are. Maybe we can, during this process, we could even make a commitment along with the government, maybe try and pull in the government to say that we will pick up not just the talented kids, but we'll pick up 4 or 5 kids, irrespective of where they are in their journey, and help them through the journey. Volleyball is one of the sports that they want to play, right? So some of the initiatives will come in. I'm very sure that as we mature through this process, it's new for us, obviously dealing with, with 14-year-olds and 16-year-olds, but, I'm hoping that it's going to be a great journey for the league, for the team and everything.
I think for me, when we were discussing and post the basketball season, one of the one of the key problems or the gaps that we want to address was actually accommodating more parents into these facilities, because that also by default becomes a huge motivation for these athletes to perform and give that extra ounce of energy to push for the last ball, for the last minute run, and everything. And that is a very natural or organic way for them to also kind of understand that there is a constant support or belief from the parents. Because I mean, taking a step back, maybe a decade back, sports was considered more like a extracurricular activity, something that is secondary after studies. But right now, there is a complete shift in the mindset of the parents, the new generation parents, if you put it that way. But so this time, that's one of the key things. I mean, it's an open invitation to all the parents, all the sports lovers to come and have a look into how wonderful these kids would be on the court. And we, I mean, as a partner, as a professional team, we are trying to build a great experience, both for the athletes, for the fans, for the spectators, for the families. So in that way, definitely this is an open invitation, and we would love to have more and more students, non-playing students, even the faculties coming and seeing how their students, who would be a different person altogether in the classroom, but maybe a beast, an animal with so much energy running around in the court. So definitely, it will be a great exposure for everyone who is coming part of this ecosystem for sure.
First of all, congratulations to Blackhawks team, because you have cracked the deal with the Prime. So everyone knows that it is official drink sponsor of Barcelona. So, and so last year you have conducted leagues in other cities, right? So under the Blackhawks. So is there any plans that you are conducting in other cities in rural areas and other second two town areas as well?
Yeah, yes, it's going to be an ongoing activity this year as opposed to last year. We've started obviously with this. We still have the video open that we'll conduct through the year. We will continue all our commitments that we have done in the past. We'll continue with that. Along with that, I think what we are looking towards is also starting an academy here. One of the big things that I think we could do for a city like this is to create an academy, because we have access to professional teams across the world. We speak to coaches globally on a very regular basis, their coaching mechanisms, their coaching attitude, and what they bring to the table. And I believe that if we can put it all together, I think the best way to go about now is to create our own academy. So far, obviously, we don't have a ground of our own. We would love to work with the government to create that. Again, it all boils down to one thing, which is, how much. It's a vicious cycle if you really look at it, right? If you have sponsors, you can put on a big show. If you can put on a big show, people love to participate. People love to come in, into the stadium. The moment that happens, then you have fans naturally getting associated with it. So it's all part of that cycle. That as we get more and more interest from sponsors, be it the government, be it individuals, whoever, it makes a lot of difference in sport. Right now, one sport gets 90% of the sponsorship, the rest of the 90 sports or whatever gets 10% of the sponsorship. So hopefully, sports like volleyball, kabaddi, all the other sports, also get more sponsorship, so that we can bring more onto the table. We are ready. We have the passion. We are stupidly passionate about things, to a point of a fault. But I'm very sure that in spite of that stupidity, that we bring to the table, because we want the sport to be successful, we would need the sponsors as well, right? And I'm quite happy that sponsors are responding to this. I'm repeating this over and over again because it's a new for us as well. It is. You start off saying Prime, which is, thank you very much for saying that. But Prime probably haven't worked with any league whatsoever in the country. It's a great opening. Sanjay we just came to know that they were willing to sponsor this just before the press meet, right? So it brings a lot of energy to not just us, to the kids, to the fact that, okay, their team, their varsity league is being sponsored by something that's more global, right? So hopefully some of our effort goes global as well and attracts the right attention. And I hope, it works.
No, and definitely, I think, as Abhishek rightly mentioned, the bottles that you see on the table and the partnership that we were able to have is just a random conversation which started, I think, approximately 12 hours back. Just pitching in, okay, it will be great if you had Prime, and then I think a big shout out to Sponsywise. I mean, they had done a brilliant job in just making sure. I mean, they work with all the top ISL teams, all the top IPL teams, but they were really inspired by what we're trying to do and the collaboration with the varsity. That I mean, it came in and they pushed so hard to make sure that this deal happens, and it's a celebration end of the day. And we'll be working closely with the GL marketing team who has a responsibility for Prime in India. And as Abhishek rightly mentioned, so this is a step forward to us for taking varsity into a global stage as well.
One more question. Compared to IPL and Pro Kabaddi League, మిగతా లీగ్స్కి స్పాన్సర్షిప్స్ చాలా తక్కువ ఉన్నాయి. మధ్యలో కొన్ని సీజన్స్ ఆగిపోయిన కూడా ఉన్నాయి. ఈవెన్ హ్యాండ్బాల్ కూడా మీరు మళ్ళీ సీజన్ చేయలేకపోయారు. సో ఇప్పుడు కంపేర్ టు ప్రీవియస్ ఇయర్స్ ఇప్పుడు ఏమైనా బెటర్ అయిందా?
And one of the things that we notice is as we season one, obviously we did in COVID, we only needed 250 people in the stadium. We were able to manage that. Obviously, friends and family, they came to see. The show is not in the stadium, the show is in the television, right? So we did very good. Prime Volleyball put out a great show. We had 130 million people watching it. Dan tarvata season 2 when it came in, we did it in 3 cities. We had 200 million people watching it. And then season 3, we had 230, 240 million or whatever. So what that did is it gave us a transition of fans who were part of season 1 became the fans or continued to be the fans. One of the beautiful thing about sport is it's not like movies come and go or whatever, right? It continues to stay, right? And it endears to the city. And as long as we do something, we're taking on the name of a city. We're calling ourselves Hyderabad Blackhawks. And we have a responsibility to give back to that city, right? Responsibility to ensure that sport is, we're taking the name, so we have that thing that we have to give back, right? So part of that, we also conduct ourselves that way. We make sure that the integrity is upheld quite a bit. We make sure that, we also ensure we give back in a lot of different ways, which we are doing right now. So part of all of that we have created, we notice that the fans continue to stay with us, and we continue to add year after year. I would say year 4 is much more better than year 3 and year 2 and year 1. Without a doubt, our year 4 effort, like we can see today, our effort is paying off. People are recognizing that effort, that they understand that, okay, when a sponsor comes in, we are able to give a lot more to them. We ensure, we don't just take their money, put up on a couple of posters and be done with it. We make sure that they get value out of it. Because we absolutely realize that is the kind of money that makes a difference between the lights, between the stadium, between the crowd and everything, versus doing what we did for basketball, which you were talking about, right? That is a difference that we're seeing. And yes, you're absolutely right. Huge difference between season 3 and season 4, but still a lot of struggle. I would say compared to, I think Sanjay would probably speak about it. We reach out to maybe 300 brands. Not more than even 50 brands would want to talk to us even. And then it trickles down to 20. So yes, but we have no problem doing it. We would love to, because we want to showcase that we are here to spread the sport, right? And if there are, sponsors out there or companies or corporates who feels that it's their responsibility to bring out a sport in a country, because it doesn't happen by, one of the things with sponsors is very important to note that it's not like you sponsor one event today and you want some ROI out of it. You have to truly believe that I want to create something out of this sport. I want to take up this sport. A big corporate can say, okay, I'm passionate about chess. I'm passionate about volleyball. I want to take it up. I want to run this for the next 5 years. We are here to run it on the ground. If a company would want to do that, we are here to make that into an achievable dream, right? And that is the role that we play. And the sponsor's role would be to make sure that from a money perspective, that, it comes in and the sport takes off, right? Eventually, the benefits of it will go beyond money. I would actually want Guru to talk about this, because Guru, for all, one thing I can tell you is that one of the big things about athletes is that, Guru was an MVP season 2. Season 1, he was the highest scorer. He was the emerging player. He scored the highest number of points. The first time ever that anybody has scored more than 100 points in a game. Season 3, he was injured just before the season, right? Now, what it does to a player of his capacity, he was supposed to go to One of the other things that we did as Blackhawks is we tied up with an Italian team in the topmost league in the world, which is a huge honor for us, to even be able to do that. And they were willing to get Guru on board into their league. And this was just before he was getting his visas and everything. We were planning for his trip, and something happened. He tore an ACL, right? And then what happens after that? Would he get sponsors? What happens to his life from there on? It all becomes a big question mark, and that's where the sponsors make a big difference. I want him to talk about it, if that's okay. To talk about the impact of sponsors on players like you.
First of all, we started volleyball when there is no money involved in volleyball. We just started this out of immense love we have for the sport. But as time goes on, we can't just rely on love we have for this game, but also the sponsors, which can scale up the training facilities, the amenities we have, and the approachability we have for the coaches here. So we do need a lot of sponsors here to support the players, because these days, even if you want to buy a whey protein, it costs about 5,000 or something. So just I'm saying for the example of diet, this costs that much, which is very, very mandatory for an athlete. So starting from the apparels they use, from the diet they go for, and also for the training, transportation, accommodation, whatever they spend, they do need sponsors. Without that, we can do sports, but not for a long time, and we can't pull a lot of athletes inside the sport, because I'm doing this sport just because out of love and nothing else. That's how I started. But then prime volleyball happened, and all this stardom, money, all came in. But I just started out of love. But when we have to scale up a sport into a global level, we do really need a lot of sponsors, so that we can scale up the game, so that a lot of players will watch the game. So fans will come, viewership will increase, and the game will grow. That's how it was always have been with cricket also. When cricket started, there was no much followers, but we started it indigenously in our country. So sponsors came in. It was telecasted in every TV almost possible. That's how the fans grew for cricket. So then the game naturally grew. So that's how we can develop cricket, volleyball also. That's how I think.
About like the value about how much sponsors mean to like leagues such as varsity. Maybe Ritvik can add on to this, but like initially schools were a major part of our achieving our vision. Schools agreeing, like Shindy, for instance, they were really supportive about this initiative. They were able to provide us with the courts required, the fans, the audience from the school, the students coming in to watch. But at the end of the day, schools can only push this a certain amount, right? Unless you need the money to get all the referees, to get all the fans in one place. So like the courts for the opening ceremonies, for the finals, for All Stars. So at a point, like the sponsorship means a lot, and even like Prime coming on board, it helps a lot in terms of growing this. Like we said, the budget last time to get per each match, right? It was extremely expensive, and hopefully now with more sponsors coming on board, it would be far more achievable to achieve and grow the league to another extent.
No, I just want to add one more, like going back to the fundamental question, because if you're looking into IPL, it's been, I mean, since more than 15 years, Kabaddi more than 10 years, and if you're looking into volleyball, we are just stepping into season 4, and sponsorship, it's more about the trust factor, because you're investing money into a property, expecting a return in terms of the brand exposure or getting more eyeballs into your product or services. So definitely time is one element, but definitely we have been, I mean, as a franchisee also, we have been able to push the limits. And even if you look into the sponsors who have been very happy to come for this partnership, especially, you see a couple of international brands like Bicycle Prime, and that shows the confidence that few of the international and the global brands has on the sport and has on the initiative that we're trying to do here. And definitely, and I think this is definitely a plan for varsity as well, like not just limiting in Hyderabad, but making it more into a pan-India initiative. Like this, I think more is kind of like a testing platform where you want to make sure that this is being done across all the different cities possible across India.
No, 100%. I think, yeah, Hyderabad is the heart of it. But, as Sanjay said, we want to, be able to replicate, what we've created in Hyderabad across cities in India. And we want every single student, every single athlete in the country to be able to, play, have this structured atmosphere. And we believe then the amount of, the amount of eyes that are on high school sport in India, the amount of, parents who see, light at the end of the tunnel for their kids in this sport. We feel like all of that is going to come in the next couple of years. And we're very excited about that. But also, when it comes to sponsors, something about sport is I believe it's the most beautiful thing in the world. Just because, what else unites 100,000 people who are all supporting the same thing? We rarely find that in today's age, right? And each one of us, watching at home, every crucial part of our day is watching some kind of highlights or watching some sport, right? And these leagues that come up in India, Prime Volleyball, etc., they, give these talented athletes like Guru a platform where they become stars, right? And those stars are created because of all of us who watch it. So, the best way to be a part of something that's so beautiful is obviously, getting involved in these leagues. And, just because of how beautiful sport is, how much every single human on earth is involved in sports is, a big reason why, I feel India especially is somewhere where it's going to attract a lot of sponsorship. And I hope a lot of people understand just how much potential is there within Indian sport right now. We have billions of people. Everyone loves sport. If we give them a platform, if we give people infrastructure, if we give people the league somewhere to play every single day, the amount of the exponential growth in the talent of each individual is going to be immense. And I truly believe that India can become the top sporting nation in the world within 10, 15 years. Just because of the people we have, the passion we have. We just need the right people to be behind it, people to, support it. So, yeah, I think.
Can you just shed some light on the format and structure of the tournament for students from qualifiers to grand finale?
I'll let the tournament director actually speak for that.
Yes, so we have been very blessed to get a very positive response in terms of the registration. So our idea was to kind of have a league structure to make sure that every participating team gets multiple matches to understand the quality, because end of the day volleyball is one of the most team sport where the team element really kicks in a lot. So right now we have got registrations from 32 boys teams and 19 girls team, and on the 16th, which is going to be the grand opening and the qualifier, we'll be having a knockoff matches, and we'll be finding the top 12 men's boys team and the top 8 girls team. And in the coming 3 weeks, they would be playing round robin formats in groups of 6 and 4. And then that will actually, I think, determine the top 4 who would be qualifying for the semi-finals and the finals. And in between, and I think it's one of the USPs of the Varsity League. They have been very active about conducting the All-Star Weekend, which is kind of more like a celebration on top of the celebration that we're trying to do. So this is kind of identifying the top talent within across all the teams, both in boys and girls, bringing in a lot of entertainment, bringing in a lot of parents. We want to make it into a festival altogether, a grand weekend where we just focus on volleyball, celebrate it, take away the competition, have a lot of fun around volleyball, make it a very interactive session, and then we proceed into the grand finale, which we are scheduling for the last week of September, just before the Prime Volleyball League would be starting on the 2nd. So for the grand finale, definitely we want to have a very big show where we want to make it have at least 1,500 to 2,000 spectators, fans, families, the players who are previously part of the league coming in and supporting the semi-finalists and the finalists and walking away with great memories. So this is the format that we have. More than, I think, 40 matches we have scheduled throughout the entire league, and the knockoff would be another 30. But end of the day, as I told you, this is the main goal is make sure that every person who comes, who is part of the league, leaves with a very positive memory. So definitely competition is one thing, but for us, the experience is more important, and that's what we are really striving for.
We're also trying to make this into a carnival sort of a setup, where we're going to have a DJ, we're going to have dances, we're going to have that vibe to be, to go with this, right? Because obviously, it's a young, spirited, high energy sort of kids down there, and the experience is going to be immense.
before question, I would like to thank the whole team for not just conducting the tournament but having celebrating the game volleyball. So beginning with the question, so with 51 schools participating, how were the teams selected and what criteria was used?
Yeah, I think exactly what Sanjay was talking about. Basically, we'll have a qualifying round on August 16th where we have all 50 teams there, 20 from the girls' side and a little more than 30 on the boys' side. So each team will be playing knockouts, like any other, knockout where we have 10 teams aside and we knock out in it gets divided to 8 at the end of it. So it'll be knockouts to decide the top 8 teams in girls and the top 12 teams in boys, and that'll all be happening on August 16th at Sarunagar Stadium. So we hope to have everyone there for that opening ceremony, and then we'll go into the league stage where they'll be playing round robin, split into pools over 3 to 4 weeks. And as Abhishek was saying, I'll let him elaborate on that more, but every single game is going to be, an event. We all love to have fun. Everyone who loves sport loves to have fun. So we're going to be having DJs there, just the overall vibe. The game is the main event, but, you can have fun outside of it as well. So that's what we envision for every game.
What kind of media coverage or live streaming plans are in place to give the league visibility?
So we have Yo-Yo TV covering us. They have guaranteed that they would give us about 5 cameras set up, covering each of the courts. So during the live event, it's going to be YouTube first, sort of a setup. And during that, we would have every match being covered through the opening day and also through the rest of the season as well. We would be sharing the YouTube links and all of that as well.
Yeah, so one question is, how is this league or the initiative you guys took, how is it different compared to other leagues across India? And is it the scale or how is it different?
You mean the varsity league?
Yeah, how does
I don't think there's another league like this that exists across India at this point. At this point, we don't have any leagues that does student first, especially in schools first, sort of a setup. There's tournaments that happen for a week, maybe at max, maybe a couple of days over a weekend, but not at the scale that what we're doing right now. And definitely not where they're tied up with a professional team, be it in any sport, where they're then working together to do a league for over a period of 4 or 5 weeks. So it's a sort of a new setup here. More of an NCAA style.
Yeah, maybe I can just add to that a little. I don't think across the country we've ever seen, 1,000, 1,500 people come to watch, a high school championship. And a press conference like this hasn't been seen before as well. So, we're doing something truly novel here, and we see it going on for the foreseeable future, for the next 100 years even. We truly believe that, building from the high school sports sector up is what's going to create the next LeBron James, the next Steph Curry right here in India. And yeah, I think, and we always see talent like that with Guru and people. So, it's very exciting what's going to go ahead. Yeah, exactly. I think we're talking about the next Guru. I think we hope to see him maybe this season. Probably not. It takes some time to get that good. So maybe, a couple years from now. But yeah, huge thank you to Guru as well for being here. And, he's such a humble superstar. And, to, be as, understanding of exactly, what needs to be done for sport, especially as an athlete coming up. And, his perspective is truly, it's awesome. So, thank you so much for him as well being here. Superstar.
Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us.